Yeah, I don't know what to do now, but we'll talk about it. All right. Let me kick this off. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special episode 353 of Cantina MX Football Podcast. We have quite a bit to cover with the repechaje matches that went over the weekend. And then obviously today's hot news. Ricardo Pelaez has been relieved of his duties at Chivas. So we're live on Twitter Spaces, live on YouTube. Feel free to hang out with us, request to speak. We want to hear you guys' thoughts. But before I go any further, let me welcome Joel to the podcast. Joel, how we doing?
Good, Jaime. Despite the bad news for me, I'm still good.
Hooray, hooray, the witch is dead. I don't know how the saying goes, but yeah. Ricardo Pelaez had a special press conference today where he basically thanked everybody in the organization and said that he has been relieved of his duties as the president of Chivas. And it was kind of like an exit interview. He didn't have to do all this. They could have just tweeted this. They could have just sent something on the website, but he showed face. I respect him for that. He showed face, and he had some sort of exit interview. He allowed the press to ask him some softball questions, and that's it, man. I feel weird right now. It's like we don't have anybody to blame anymore.
Well, again, yeah, it's like you wanted this to happen, and now that it happened, it's
Like, what do we do?
what now? I was listening to Chi Hermano Spaces earlier. I only got to hear the tail end, and that was the sentiment I got from the general consensus of everyone there. Like, what's gonna happen now? And it's like, well, first, how are you demanding changes if you don't know? And it's like you're just throwing chips in the air and let's see where they fall, type of thing. Um, and that's kind of where my complaint is. So I did have my rant, and I wanted to because it was like there's a lot of chi hermanos, and I wanted to fight Jaime. Although I don't think anyone would have countered me. Because they're not really my takes. This is just the reality of the team, and I think the majority of Chiva fans I don't think they recognize it. So I'm gonna get to it really quick, Jaime. Like
Yeah,
two, three
man.
minute rant.
I feel like
So
you were one of Pelaez's big defenders, so I want to hear
I am.
your
Yeah.
perspective of things.
Yes, I was, and well, I'll get to that in a bit. But first off is like, uh, I guess I blame the media a lot because that's kind of where we get our talking points, and we get a lot of our information, or the majority of information, and in Mexico it's mostly geared toward controversy. So everything's always like a crisis, or it's a fracaso, and it's they always kind of like focusing on the negative. um, and I do feel that the team has been made to look like if it's doing really bad. But if we were to analyze the team, they're not really doing bad. They're kind of where they're supposed to be, given the type of team Chivas is. And this is where if it was the confusion from fans, because it's like, well, Chivas, el más grande, or top two up there with America. And they are big, but it's more like historical and popularity. But when we get to results, they stop being one of the top teams, you know?
Yeah.
Top teams, like when you look at top teams, Boca Juniors, Real Madrid, uh, whether it's Flamengo or Fluminense, what have you, they're not winning every 10 years, you know? They win more often than that. And we could look at a team like Santos, pretty modest, and they're winning every 3 to 4 years. So they've managed to surpass Chivas in that, since being bought by a Grupo Orlegui, I should note. So you have a small team like that, surpassing Chivas as far as like championships.
Hmm.
Going back to that time frame, right? Not not all the way from the beginning. Uh, so that's the thing where it's like football has changed a lot, and fans are still stuck at when Chivas was like top two team in Mexico. But if okay, so if we just look at the top four economically, so the top four teams with the most money, right?
Uh-huh.
So Monterrey, Tigres, Cruz Azul, and Televisa. Those are the top four, and the companies that are tied, to those clubs, they're huge. They're multinational, big companies. Monterrey has FEMSA,
Hmm.
number two in the world. Number two in the world, dude. I mean, that's impressive. Same with Cemex, which controls Tigres,
Yep.
number two in the world for what they sell cement and whatnot. Um, Grupo Televisa, right, which it's multimedia conglomerate. It's not just television, their radio, their newspapers, magazines, streaming now, and they're also in the U.S. So I mean, huge company, and Cemento Cruz Azul, which is probably one of the bigger companies in Mexico. For
You think they're
you
the
know,
fourth richest club?
dude, look at their squad. Look how type
Huh.
of players they bring in.
They can't even get a
You know,
stadium right now.
no, but I mean, but like squad wise, like as
Oh, I
far as
see.
bringing in players and all that, and yeah, and this, I'm glad you mentioned stadium. I think that helps them. You know, the fact that they don't own a stadium, that means is less money that they're spending. I think that's where Chivas shot themselves on the foot. I don't think Chivas was at that point of
Well, it's like saying,
we should
hey,
own
like
our own
I
stadium.
got a lot of money, but I still live at home.
Well, it's true, but I mean, but they're up there. You know what I mean?
I get you. All right. So you have
You know,
you
and
have your top four, and then you have Chivas. Where do you think they are?
well, well, see, yeah, and then you get Chivas where they'll land like in around fifth. You know,
Hmm.
because it's not Chivas. People think Chivas, and they think all this stuff, but it's not really that. It's not really so much like if you think about TV or how many shirts are being sold, they're not really making that much money off of that. There was a really good it was in a press conference. It was like they organized like these events where like all these club representatives go and they give like talks, and this was Higuera talking about Chivas, and it was really telling because he was just talking about the financial part, about like how much money they get for like the t-shirt sponsors and for TV deals,
Uh-huh.
and it's like it's peanuts, dude. He said in the grand scheme of things, it's not as much as Chivas should be making,
And whose fault is that?
and just the market, the Mexican
Mm.
market, like the average Mexican fan can't afford. They're not going to be afford to go every other match day and spend what like $150, on a ticket. That's why over there's like $5 tickets, 2 for 1 maybe if you pay $20 or whatever, what have you. Yeah, so it's kind of the market what it dictates. Um, but yeah, so just off the bat, that's four. So that's four teams that are always gonna have, or for the most part, a stronger squad than Chivas.
Okay.
So I mean, damn. So just starting off, you're in fifth in the pole position, man. Um, but then, but then we have to add to that then what's going on with Liga MX, where we saw these changes in the league, where it's like, okay, you could bring in, before it used to be 4 or 5 foreigners per team,
Mm.
and now it's like,
There's no
and now
cap.
it's like 11, I think. Yeah, and so what happens there is that it made it easier for all these other teams to like load up on talent. They could get cheap players in South America, and so it's way easier for Pachuca to
Compete.
put a to put together a competitive squad. Like if they had a last season,
Uh-huh.
they just start looking for some players and start the next one. They already have 3 or 4,
Yeah.
you know, fresh recruits,
I
and we
guess.
see it happen a lot with so. And that's kind of where we've seen the rise of Grupo Pachuca, right? They started winning, and then when they got León started winning, and then Orlegi did the same with Santos, and now they're doing it with Atlas, which and having the team less than 2 years, they already they won 2 championships, and they had like a horrible season, but we could expect for next season they're gonna jump back up because
Mm-hmm.
it's just how much easier it's gonna be for them to bring in other players. And so that's 4 clubs now. That's 4 extra clubs that you go add to the top 4 that can outspend Chivas. Now you have 4 more clubs that can rebuild faster. So
Yeah.
now Chivas goes from fifth. Now they're like at eighth or ninth, and competitive wise, that's where they're at because it's like you could say, oh, it's their fault. They only want Mexicans, and then and it's kind of well, that's true, But then because the league decided to go the way of the foreigner, there's less Mexicans
Yeah, yeah,
for
I
them
get it.
to choose from. Before they could go to teams and I mentioned Ramon Morales. They got him from Monterrey, and he wasn't really came in as a star player. They brought him in just to
Yeah.
have depth, and he ended up being a beast. And some player like that, they was probably not going to get that much of a chance. Like nowadays, he would have probably gone unnoticed, man. He would have been in, I don't know, third division or something. We wouldn't have heard of him.
So
Moncho.
I understand the picture that you're trying to paint. You know, Chivas are at a disadvantage because of X, Y, Z. Totally get that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
I guess my only issue and a lot of issue with all these fans is when Pelaez came in here, dropping his balls on the table and says, we're gonna be
He
talking
did.
about titles, we're gonna be talking about silverware, we're not gonna be talking
He
about
did.
relegation anymore. So it's like it's on himself that we had these high expectations for Chivas. If he would have came out and said what you just said now, like, hey, look, we got to understand we are historically a big club, but X, Y, and Z are at a disadvantage now. We kind of have to lower, we got to lower our expectations.
Yeah.
But no, he went in there saying we're gonna fucking win titles and we're gonna go this and we're gonna do this,
He did.
So it's like at
He
the end of
did.
the day, bro,
He,
he dug himself in this
well,
hole.
he didn't say win. He said we're gonna talk about. He's like, we're no longer gonna talk about um, relegation. We're no longer gonna talk about being like last in the table. We're gonna start talking about now, liguillas and championships. But I think he got the other part right because around you know, the team had been in the relegation, like low in the relegation table.
Yeah,
And this is after they won the doblete because they had those horrible seasons under Matias Almeida when they finished 15th and 17th. And that's when he leaves. And then you have, boy Cardoso. I forgot who
we were
else.
we were in a tough spot.
Yeah, but the team was finishing in double digits, 11th, 13th,
Yeah, yeah.
15th. I mean, that's where the team was. And so when he arrived, he kind of put them back where he kind of put made them like where I feel that it's where the team's strength is at, which is like eighth, ninth. So they finished between sixth and ninth. And last podcast we were talking about how some of those seasons the team was only like 6 points away from finishing
Yeah.
like fourth. So I mean,
So I mean,
to me
there
that's
was
something to
improvement.
build on.
Yeah, there was improvement. There was improvement
Yeah,
from where we were. Like to give him credit, we did get better. We were consistently going into Liguilla, whether it was from the table or from repechaje, like whatever the case may be. Yeah, the team has sort of gone in an upward trajectory, but at the end of the day, he himself said it's not good enough.
yeah, because I think it's if the team's not winning, that they're not going straight into liguilla or winning any silverware, then that's already considered fracaso, and it's going off of the fans. They're already they're
Yeah.
quick to go for the pitchforks and the torches. But I'm like, Chivas needs really long procesos, because
So
even if you're too good with youth, you could just look at the top teams. You could look at the top clubs. They have the best youth systems in the world. Ajax, Boca Juniors,
yeah,
where we want. Dude,
Barcelona.
they're still bringing in refuerzos.
Oh yeah, of
They don't
course.
go to they don't go 2 3 seasons without.
Yeah,
Every season they bring like two or three. Every season. I mean, so that's how competitive football has gotten. It's not like how it used to be where
right.
you could hold on to a squad like 4 or 5 years. Um, it's just not there anymore. It's so globalized now. They're bringing players go to Qatar, and then they what's his face was in Qatar, right? Mexican guy,
Yeah,
defender, went from Europe to Qatar. That's insane, dude. Stuff like that wasn't unheard of.
right.
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't heard of. It wasn't that common, but you see it now quite often. And I think that's the other thing that's hurting Chivas, where you have MLS and they're able to pay more money. So we've seen players that Chivas could have maybe brought in, like an HH or a Chicharo, and they just can't compete for that type of wages.
But I thought MLS did everything better than Liga MX.
Oh, you're going somewhere else, man. Come on now. This this is just money. Like they have money to drop. So,
I'm just busting your balls, Will.
uh, no, I do think they make some things better. I think how they learn from their mistakes of when the North American Soccer League used to play in these big stadiums like Giant Stadium or whatever, those huge football stadiums, and there was like 5K people,
Yeah.
and it just looked it looked empty because it's like a what like a 60K or whatever. And I think they learned from that, and they built these small stadiums that are like 20K or like 30K, and it's like people forget like yeah you could own the stadium but you're still paying property tax, you're still paying upkeep, you're still paying all this other to maintain it. So
Well,
it costs.
I have a question for you. So, like, do you think he just needed more time? Do you think that his project was like, ended prematurely,
I
or do you think this is the right
Yeah,
time for a change?
no, I think he needed more time, but I think that was and this man this has been the most frustrating for me seeing Mexican soccer for the past like I don't know since like the 90s, so long time. I've yet to see a proceso be successfully complete from start to finish. They always get hacked. Somewhere down the middle, someone decides this is shit, and they they can it really quick. And I've always used example La Puente, right? Go go look at clips of Mexico '98 World Cup. Dude, those were some exciting games, dude. I just watched yesterday. I rewatched it, the Mexico Holland game, and they're losing 2-0.
Yeah.
They're losing 2-0.
Matador.
Yeah, and they mount that comeback. They tied it with a man down too. Not only were they losing, and the clock was like in the last minutes, they were playing a man down, Ramon Ramirez. And so that's like when we look at the World Cups, that's one of the most exciting ones if you're a Mexico fan and just for Mexico in general. So dude, he had that awesome World Cup. That was in '98. In '99, he wins the Copa Confederaciones. It's like damn, dude, and it beats Brazil, which was like yeah, they sent some juveniles, but you're still beating Brazil in an official FIFA tournament, which they had some big names. If you look at some of these players, I think Ronaldinho. You guys refresh my memory. I think he was there. Um, so then that's like '99, and around 2000 he has a bad Gold Cup, and they sack him. It's like I was like, what? Like, hasn't this guy done enough to be like, let him have a second World Cup? He was like, no, no. All of a sudden, they decided he sucks, doesn't know what he's doing, and I'm like, that's just to me, that's politics more than anything, And so kind of the same with Pelaez, where he had he was coming along. He had Buse, and there was this whole media. I do media onslaught like every week, just talking shit, and every week we're it was the funny part because each week was like, if he loses, Chivas already, they, all the different medias had their own take. They talked to Almeida or so and so or this guy's already, and it was for like 5 weeks, and he kept he wouldn't lose. And the final game was when they beat Pachuca, and they still fired him because I don't think this was Pelaez. I think this was Leaño, where Leaño was like, dude, I'm getting, it's been a month. I don't know how long this guy's gonna keep going with this streak. But I thought when Leaño came in, he sort of flipped everything at that point, and it's like he just came in to do whatever he wanted to do. I put that on the Maori.
For sure.
How ironic that you bring up that World Cup, Joel. The same
98.
where Pelaez scores in that exact
He does.
game. And
He did.
Oh.
Good memory. Good memory, dude.
hey, that's what I'm known for, man. And
That's why we like having you here, man.
and now that you mentioned the game, and now you fast forward to today, where they sack him for obvious reasons, and rightfully so. He spent a lot of money on bum players.
I don't think he spent a lot of money. Because
They
look,
say it's 35 that he spent.
that's not a lot
35.
though.
Oh my
That's
god.
Look, you're
in
right.
the
It's not a lot in the
come-
grand into the Chivas world
yeah,
and market. You're right. It's not a lot,
but
but
not Chivas
that's
world,
what
just
among these
football world.
shekels.
It is, but I mean, Pelaez was talking something on the press conference. I gotta hear that one clip, and he was saying how in the last, and it's something I even brought up here before, um, where the last two World Cups, Chivas has not had any players at the World Cup squad. Maybe former Chivas, but not current Chivas players. And he said that I think they have two that are set to be at the World Cup. And he said like, and two more, so there could be four. And I don't just put it on him. I put it in because it's not just him working. I put this like on the whole institution where we have to like kind of focus. Okay, what's being done right? And if you manage to go two World Cups without none, and then for this third one you're getting between two and four, that shows that the team are doing some things right.
That press conference was an embarrassment. Uh, Those,
Today's?
yeah, all those Reporter fans throwing cupcake questions.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
That
they were just
that's
being
why
dicks
they're at where
before.
they're at.
All right, so
No,
It's-
a little bit to give you guys a little bit of insight on that. So when you go to a press conference, it's not like a free for all.
yeah,
There is a manager there that picks and chooses the people in the crowd, and they point to them like this is you don't see this on camera. So they be pointing to the people that they want questions from, and there's somebody
yeah,
running there giving the mic. So it's not like a free for all, and a lot of the times they go with people that they know have credibility, but also are not going to straight up like roast somebody, and be unprofessional. So I think towards the end there could have been a reporter that could have thrown like a really hard question, but there was a lot of questions that were just like bullshit, bro. Like they kind of didn't give him a hard one.
yeah, and the reporters do that to keep the access, so it's understandable.
Yeah.
But
What?
going back to what whole
Yeah. Go ahead.
go ahead, I'm go
No,
ahead.
I was gonna say like, what would you ask Pelaez?
I would I would ask them about the players doing whatever the hell they want, about the owner being broke and not investing more in the team, and that famous what was it 70-30 plan about the cantera that just disappeared out of nowhere. They stopped mentioning it.
Mm-hmm.
wait, 70%.
40-30 or what was it? Or 70-30?
This is going back to Hans Westerhoff days,
No, didn't
right?
no earlier in the season didn't they mention that
Oh,
they're
I didn't hear it, but I
about
know I remember that like back when Westerhoff was at the club, he talked about that too, where their goal was to have a squad that was mostly cantera and then like 30% coming from other clubs. Um, and I could see if the club wants to do something, and if they want to do it, I don't think it's out of choice now, just necessity. But I do think they were. If you see the numbers of players they've been debuting or youth players that've been, how many minutes they've been getting, it's actually really good.
but are all those canteranos top level canteranos, Joel? When they say that, how many of
No,
those
I'm
are
not saying
actually
that
like
they are. It's
selección
what they have.
worthy or not even selección worthy? Let's just say cumplidores. How many of those guys are at that level?
I
Not
mean,
that many, right?
Uh,
yeah, and I mean,
no,
A
uh,
handful.
yeah, Pelaez talked about how like why they in the beginning he signed a lot of players, and then towards the end he signed very few. He said because we have all this talent in Tapatio and like blah blah blah. He was basically just using the excuse that like they were trying to promote from within, and that their best option was like just promoting from within than it was to go to the market and bring in a player that may not also have the same values as Chivas do. So that was like his excuse as to why the refuerzos started to slow down.
Yeah, well, I mean,
That's a poor excuse.
I don't remember them saying something about how they they weren't gonna panic buy. So if they couldn't find a player in the market, that they were just gonna go with the cantera. And I thought they kind of stayed true to that up until Ormeño. It does seem a bit of a panic buy just when he came into the season. But I could see why they did it because you've had an Alexis that's not at 100, and you have a JJ Macias that
Yeah, he's out.
he's not scheduled to be back until February, and so you could lose, or Chivas could lose Alexis. He might not be back next season. If he has a good World Cup, he could speed up his process and leave, and then that puts Chivas right back at at disadvantage. I do feel that this season that's what hurt them, not having Macias and Alexis not at 100, and I'm guessing he might have not even played at 100 because he wants to save himself, you
Yeah.
know. And again, I don't think I could blame him, especially hearing his podcast he did right when he was talking about the times he's gotten injured
Hmm.
and almost at key points in his career.
Yeah.
He's probably
We're
like,
so
"Fuck
close to a
this,
World
man."
Cup. Like the last thing you want to do is injure yourself.
Yeah, I might not, yeah, because you might not get a chance to play another one.
Yeah.
We're used to seeing players, but that's a very small amount of players that get to repeat. Like, if you count how many players there are active and how many get to go to a World Cup or play more than once, um, yeah, you might not get that chance again.
Yeah.
Well, he's gonna have a whole month to recover because he's out.
Yep. He's out. And
Oh,
I
and
go ahead.
go ahead, Jaime. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, looking into the future, everyone wanted Pelaez out. Everybody wanted, Dick Chain out. Like, be careful what you wish for, because it sounds like shit's about to get worse. It's going to be another, like, family friend that takes over, or maybe,
That's what was being mentioned. Yeah, like
They're saying
his
the
the
cuñado,
cuñado.
the
yeah.
Bolivian, more internationals.
I hear, dude. I hear one of the reporters, and he's like on this guy's nuts for whatever reason. He's saying he's been preparing himself for 2 years. I'm like,
Por
dude, are you
fan.
fuck? I'm like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Is because you go prepare yourself for 2 years? Compare yourself to the previous GM that has had a whole career playing football and has as a directivo been at the big clubs and including selección, and you're making what you want me to feel better because this guy's been studying for 2 years. He has his Johan Cruyff certificate, and this dude, these are the same assholes. They were talking shit, and now here they are, like blowing smoke up our ass with some guy that is unproven.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, here's my question for you guys, right? So, I've been a big fan of Pelaez and what he did and all of that. But how much responsibility falls on Pelaez versus how much responsibility falls on Amaury, right? Because the Leaño issue, that was wasted
Yeah,
time. And who does
it
that
was a
fall
lot.
on?
Oh,
You know?
that was a Mauri. Leaño was completely a Mauri, and then because Leaño has juice within Chivas, we've talked about it here.
Exactly.
Going
So, ahora
going
vienen
back,
los cuñados y con quién se quedan las papas calientes, right?
yeah, that was the criticism for Pelaez that he should have quit because
And
yeah, this dude did come in and he muddled the waters, and then once he left. He's and this where you could see the media too being disingenuous because they knew what happened, but they still kept blaming it on him. They just kept
exactly.
throwing.
And now here's the thing: it's all right. And you were talking about it, procesos largos, right? They're not a thing in Mexico. What can we do? Well,
Whoa,
there's
whoa,
been
wait, wait.
rumors. My
Wait, hold on. Just really quick. I don't mean to cut you off. You I do think they're a thing in Mexico. I would say some clubs. I think the teams that have been doing this well. Um,
Ooh,
Grupo Orlegui, what they do with Santos,
okay.
and now Atlas, they were seeing it, and then Grupo Pachuca with both Pachuca and León. How we see how those teams they stay competitive and they're fighting for a champion. And then America, of course, they've been at it for quite a while now, where they've stayed. You know, their numbers are very impressive. Like even their bad seasons, where they were talking about their bad seasons with Solari, and they were breaking records. So it's like, which I would see that some of my kids was crying, and I was like, "What's wrong with these guys? This team's doing really good." It's just the Liguilla thing that throws us off because one bad game and it's like, "Oh, you suck," you know.
And then it's
All right,
fire everybody,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Go on, dude.
So that's the thing. Like that's the hot headedness, like that we don't see it in the long run of what's gonna happen. But now there's rumors of Lilini kind of being linked to Chivas. So
Yep.
do you guys think that would be a good move to there? Bring somebody who's known that can grow your cantera? Because let's be honest, for years, what was the claim to fame from Chivas? It was la cantera, ¿verdad? Sells to America, sells to everyone, but they're all seleccionados coming from Chivas. So would that be a good move? But now that Pelaez is gone, is that even a possibility? Is that even something that could stay? Especialmente now que van a venir los cuñados y los compadres y los padrinos de mi hija. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how much control Pelaez had. I don't think because when he arrived, Leaño was in charge of the youth, and I don't think this guy came in and he was allowed to just displace him. And and even after he left, Chivas brought some dude that was linked with the fracasos of the female national team, and he didn't even present him. There was like not even a press conference for that. They just
Yeah.
snuck that guy in through the back door. I can't remember his name, but he's if you see the desmadre that happened with the girls team and missing out and all that, he was he was there, dude. So I don't know who thought that was a good idea.
I
They
only
just
watch women's volleyball. Well, I don't watch
oh, that's a that is I do too.
for
That
obvious
is a
reasons.
great sport.
Las grandotas. But Ho, I have to. You started off the show with saying that you wanted to fight. Hey man, I'm right here. I'm all
I
about
want
the
to fight the
fisticuffs.
Chi Hermanos, dude.
Oh, the shit. Oh, well, I'm not a goat, but I fly high like an eagle, man. But hey, I'm right here, man. Hey, I disagree with you guys
With
with
what?
two things. Well, mostly everything you guys say, but but
Hell.
I like it.
I'm ball busting. I'm ball busting. But Pelaez, you said Pelaez needed time. What this guy needed was
Yeah,
money, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
that too.
Everyone knows Mexican players. Yeah, for better or worse, you guys are right. You guys are known for being sold players, getting ripped off on players, right?
Yeah, man.
And
It,
if every big team buys play, they gotta spend money eventually, man. You can't be a cheapskate in a league
yeah,
and call
I
yourself
think
grande.
but Ricardo, because I think you missed the first part, and that's where I talk about how if we're looking at the teams that are the with the most money, Chivas is like in fifth. You know,
but he had his chance at a big team. He had his chance at Cruz Azul. Pero el orgullo y
he
por sus huevos, porque la directiva le puso un técnico que no quería, he quit. Right? So
no,
why
he
didn't he
didn't
do
quit.
that with Leaño?
He got fired. He got fired on TV. Remember that
On
guy was at
picante,
Picante.
yeah.
That one of the because there was some corruption going on with the directiva with the
Pues that's Cruz Azul, güey. Like, that's Cruz Azul. Eso es
Billy
lo que
Alvarez, no?
hacen. Like, Billy,
yes, the
Dios,
Alvarez.
like
No, it wasn't
la
Billy. It was
corporativa.
the
No,
other
no,
guy.
but it was the guy married to their sister.
Yeah, Guillermo Vasquez or something like that. The one with the
Yeah,
curly
and
hair.
well, one of the things that was happening was because um he wasn't getting players from the usual promoter that Cruz
Mm.
Azul uses, and it's crazy because this guy came and he said it himself, which to me didn't make sense. But he talked about in 10 years, Cruz Azul has bought about 100 foreigners, and none of them have finished a contract,
Mm.
and some of them didn't even play. And it's like, well, that's kind of some of the corruption that was going on, where that's how they used player transfers to, lavado de dinero and whatnot. Um, but I remember Pelaez had brought in Paul Fernandez, and he brought him from Boca Juniors, and this dude was like, they're gonna win with him, and they, this guy comes in and he gets rid of him. But then I forgot who brings him back, and they actually, when they won, that dude was there, man. He's he's one of those talisman type players, you know, players that go to teams and they do whatever they do, like they don't really have to stand out as much. They just do it really good. Callito would be like another one where he won at Leon, then he won at Chivas, then they took him to what was it, Santos, and he wins again.
Yeah, Santos.
That's sometimes you want that type of player there, man, like a lucky charm. Um, but yeah, Pelaez got sacked for that, for
For his
for not
internal businesses.
not cooperating with some of these what is it, promotores, which same thing at America. He started
He's
beefing it
known
with
for that.
Pepe Romano.
Hmm. See but this is where I disagree with you guys. I think comparing comparing his tenure with Chivas and Cruz Azul and America, I think this is different because if you guys remember, what was his the guy from Picante de Anda, the guy that won with you guys the Conca Crab
Yeah,
title with
yeah, I know
against
who.
Toronto. Uh, I from what I'm seeing, this is just me looking from the outside in, being a hater, having my opinion, right? But it kind of seems like you guys just bring in directivos for to use as punching bags for the media, while the owner just stays clear, doesn't spend money. Because
I
I
did,
mean, if you
I
take a,
did
if
think
you
that was
really,
Vergara, dude. He did do that. He did it with Lebrija. Remember, I was so stoked to have Lebrija because Lebrija was
mm-hmm,
behind that, like Toluca,
yeah,
and Toluca had Cardoso and all that. He was one of those dudes there, and he's at Chivas, man, and I'm thinking shit's about to get real, um, you know, and this guy quits a couple months in because they didn't even tell him Chicharito was going to be sold. He's he said he would have pushed to keep him until Libertadores, and dude, that was my man, that was my
el Inter de toda mi vida.
ya, no, no te lo ibas a acabar, Ricardo, ¿verdad? But because I remember like when I was a kid, and I remember watching dude, this was like in '95, man, and I think I might be getting the years a little off, but I think '95, and as River Plate plays, I think Millonarios, Cali, and they have Crespo, and he scores like 2 goals, and that's when he leaves to Italy, but he leaves with the cup, man. And I'm thinking, just almost getting to the final, we have Chicha there, and then it's like,
You saw the similarities.
I did, dude. I was like, he could leave, dude, and he
Mm,
could he could he could leave some glory here and make history, and
y
instead,
nada.
no, he's sold, and when Chivas plays Libertadores, I think that same week, Chicha is playing the with Man U, the MLS All Stars.
Yep.
Y ahora está de malagradecido en MLS.
I'm like, oh man, dude, you could have at least held on to him until this
Mm-hmm.
game, hold on to this dude, and after this game, and that's where I felt some of these Mexican directivos. They don't see the big picture, man, because Chivas wins that Libertadores, and they could milk that for the next 70 years, like they've been doing with Campeonisimo. They,
Oh, they would have milked that forever.
they could have just lived
Oh
off of
man.
that alone. And I know my Chi hermanos would have kept coming back for more.
For sure. Well,
Well, real quick, Jaime.
yep.
But I got a honest question for you guys. Did you like knowing the situation that Chivas was in when Pelaez arrived, did you guys really expect him to like bring Chicharito, Vela, or all these big name guys? Like from the start, this is what I thought was gonna happen. I thought he was gonna fail because he didn't have money.
I don't know. At the time, I didn't think we had money problems. I didn't think that
Mm.
was a thing. And then, especially when he comes in and he brings in, all these players in his first season, I'm like, holy shit, man! Like, this is exactly what we need. Yeah, and we had all these Chiva Galacticos or whatever. We had like a name and everything. It really felt like holy shit, like this is a serious project. And then when Bocho had to get separated from the team, I was like, oh, I knew this was too good to be true.
he, you know what? He was like the biggest. He was gonna be the refuerzo bomba or the biggest signing. He
Yeah,
was coming in at somewhere between 10 and 12. And after he left, when the team was criticizing Chivas, they still kept that price tag. They keep saying they spent 50 million. I'm
Mm.
like, hey, you need to take off these 12 that never went through. But Jaime, I actually knew Chivas was having problems with money because of the TV. They hadn't been able to secure a good TV deal,
oh,
and that was hurting them. And around a few years or a year, something before that, they had lost the Bimbo sponsorship,
I see.
and again, they weren't able to secure a big sponsorship brand. So I knew they were like struggling with all of that. I think the media also did a whole disservice with the whole Chivalacticos because it was like these guys were like seleccionados. You know, Chivas spent like they spent like a decent amount and they made it seem, they sort of raised these expectations and I think that hurt the team more than anything.
And weren't most of those guys from Necaxa, right?
Cause like wait, like just and then this is where you
Yep.
see the absurdity, where you see the absurdity of like Mexican media where they're comparing Galacticos. You know where that comes from Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And
And
do you
America.
remember that? Do you remember that fucking squad?
They had Figo, Roberto
They like,
Carlos, Ronaldo, Beckham.
dude, are you seriously comparing
We
us to
had
that?
we had Chicote, we had Peña, we had
Ignore me, ho.
Like
Antuna.
seriously, no recontra mamen, dude. Come
And
on.
what are you talking about?
That,
Antuna is basically Ronaldo, bro. What are you talking about?
same thing happened. I don't know if you guys remember
Pocho
Mexico
was
loses.
Figo, and then JJ
Wait,
Mack was El Fenomeno, man.
Well, they did the same thing. The media when the selección lost to Honduras, right? They lose the World Cup qualifying game at Azteca. And they call it El Aztecaso. Like,
Mm.
dude, you lost the qualifier, man. You're comparing it to the Maracanazo when Brazil had this massive 200K. It was over 100K, man. I think it's close to 200K stadium, and this
It's
was the
basically
game
the same defeat,
for the
bro.
World Cup.
It's basically the same defeat, though.
Yeah, a match that defines the World Cup champion to just a qualifier.
Yeah.
That just shows how much the Liga the journalists for Mexico how much they exaggerate. That's what been my thing with fans. It's like, dude, come on, they're making shit up. They're making you guys drown on a glass of water.
Yeah. But again, like I mentioned earlier, it's like Pelaez put this to himself when he came in with that press conference. And since then, he just never lived up to the expectation because he set the bar too high. And
I
I'm not looking forward to what happens now because it was better than where we were, and obviously losing to Puebla and penalties is not the way you want to go out. But it was still better than not making repechaje, and we'll see what happens next season. I have like no expectations anymore. Like the witch is dead. And now we're gonna have to find somebody else to blame, and I think Amaudi's got some massive balls to do this because now the target's gonna be on him, bro.
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm guessing there's already something in line.
Amaudi has to come
Um,
out, bro, and say, you know what? You call me broke. He's gotta be like my Jewish friend. When you call him broke, he'll buy you drinks the whole night. Amaudi has to come out
well,
here and he needs to start
that was a
spending money.
Pachuca guy.
And he needs to hire like a world class coach. Like if he wants everyone to get off his back, he's gonna have to hire a really good coach, and he's gonna have to whoever replaces Pelaez has to like come in and like I don't know, man. Like
That, with yeah, that was the Pachuca owner or president, remember? And
Chucho
the
Pachuco.
Martinoli, yeah, the Martinoli put him on blast, and he had to apologize. He
But
leaked
did he lie though?
their conversation. I don't think he lied, but I do think he maybe exaggerated a bit. But yeah, Chivas doesn't have like
And
that much money to
and we
just
we can
be.
pretty much assume Alexis is gone. You know, he's gonna have a World Cup. He's gonna have a great showing, and at this point, it's pretty much done, bro. Like he tweeted today, like just crying emojis. He knows it's done. He knows it's over, bro. He's gonna be like he might not. That might have been his last Chivas game.
Damn.
So
His 3 goals are gonna translate to Europe nicely. Hey, but I gotta say though, man, I understand he plays for you guys and you guys are fans, and I understand. But a lot of the media guys make it seem like uh like he's a top guy. Like Jaime, you mentioned oh, a couple of shows back you're a Warriors fan, right?
yep,
Or a basketball fan.
yes sir.
Who's the best player on that team?
Steph Curry.
And who's his Robin? Who's the his sidekick?
Um, probably Clay. I don't
Right?
know.
Well, he's more of a Clay than a Steph.
Mm,
He's more of a Robin than a Batman.
but we don't have a better player than Alexis though.
No, that's what I'm saying. You guys are playing with a Robin and you're calling him Batman.
Damn, it's a good, very good
Damn.
analogy, man. Um, I think because he's been injured, he came injured to Chivas, and that's one of the going off of his thing, where it sort of like made a light bulb go off on me, and I was like, that's probably why Toluca sold him,
Yeah, they probably knew he
because
was. It could have been a mixed
they're
bag.
like, he's one injury away from just that's it, his career's done.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we'll send him to Chivas, man, because his rise to the first team was like meteoric, like quick,
Mm-hmm.
and he was dude was playing Libertadores. He was showing at all levels that he can compete. But then
At
he had
Toluca,
this,
right?
At Toluca, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But he was still very young. He was like 17, 18. You know,
And you guys bought
and
him. He's not a canterano.
Nope. We did buy him.
That's what I'm saying. You guys got to spend cash. If
Yeah.
not, you get
Yeah.
no, no,
Chivas.
but
No, go
he
ahead,
was
Arturo.
no, no. What I'm saying, he was doing so well that to me, it's like, why would you sell a player like this?
Hmm.
Well,
Pinta para grande,
you can
and
you can
he
um you can thank Cardoso for that
no, but but you could tell the directiva was they agreed to negotiate because it could have been like,
because Cardoso didn't he join when Cardoso joined?
yeah, he
Yeah,
joined that
he
season or
definitely
the
took him
next
with him. Yeah.
because Chivas always brings coaches mid-season. So, but I do think it was the whole he had been injured like once or twice, and they were like, this guy could be one bad fall from you know
Yeah.
being porcelain, and and I think that's where they saw him. And yeah, he has spent quite a while, injured at Chivas.
Yep. Real quick, I do want to quickly go over like the results over the weekend, and then we have Albert who wants to speak. So just bear with me real quick. With the Tigres start off the Saturday 2-0. And of course, the man with the plan, Gignac, scored two golazos and gave Tigres the victory. It didn't look good though because Aquino had gotten a red card early in the match. And then Abdias, you guys won. Cruz Azul beat Leon pretty painfully, but you guys got through to the next rounds. How do you feel about that, man?
You know what, man? I feel good. Potro has, I don't know. He I'm a believer once again. Faith is the last thing to die. Pero hey, last podcast I said, the thing about Leon is that they attack, they attack, they attack, and you know what? Magically, that's what Cruz Azul did. They attack, they attack, they attack, and they made those chances. Now, the one thing that I will say is that it's some bullshit that VAR didn't call both of those calls, back to back penalties, right? Let the cards fall how they are, call them, and yet they didn't do anything. I'm a Cruz Azul fan. and that was a hand inside the box. Like it hit his hand. That was es una mano, and the other one también on the other end es un pisotón en el área, nada. And then the other one es el codazo que le echan a Antuna at the midfield, and nothing. It's clear on camera and everything, VAR, como si nada. ¿Verdad? Como dijo el Piojo, comiendo tortas. So,
but let's be
overall,
honest, you guys should be in second division after that 7-0, man.
It was, it was fun. It was rough, but
We woke you guys up.
¿Cuál? ¿El 7-0? Like,
yeah, man.
It happens.
You guys put a curita on and...
Mira, güey, la cosa es, soy de Cruz Azul, he visto peor, all right? Do you understand how hyped I was going into last season with Pumas? Or a couple seasons ago with Pumas? I was like, como si nada. And then, I don't know, man, now that I farted, just whistles. It doesn't do the same. So I was ready. I was ready.
Your players are asking for America. You better be careful what you ask for, man.
You know
might
what,
get
man?
8-0 this time.
I mean, se te olvidan las goleadas del antes, ¿verdad? Like, los últimos cuantos años también eran goleadas 4-0, like...
All I remember is 2013, man. 2018.
Oh, so we're bringing those in.
Yeah.
Un machete,
Those are the ones that count.
Those are the ones that count. Those are los fantasmas they talk about, pero qué mejor que ganarles en la liguilla. Por eso es el clásico joven, and I love
for
it.
you guys, for America, it's just another game.
It's just another game.
So toxic. I love it.
¿Verdad?
Yeah.
I'm just busting your balls, man.
I know, man. It's good shit, and I'm looking forward to it. You know why? Because America always trips in Liguilla. Always trips.
I'm actually looking forward to that too. I'm looking for their downfall against the Super Camotes.
Los Larca Boys.
Larca Boys. I do.
Oh, you mean our second feeder team?
Hey, it might be what it is, pero también va a ser el director técnico de la selección. I'm a true believer.
Oh no.
Larcamón has got it, man.
I don't know if we're gonna go that far.
No, wait. He has to win. He has to win the league, because if we look at any Liga MX coach that has taken over the selección, they've all won the league, or have at least one. Had already won it, right?
That is true.
So, yeah, that.
Yeah.
So he has to win it.
Cuando entró right? So if during his tenure and his tenure caps off with a championship,
yeah,
why not?
But I mean, I do think he's a good coach, and it shouldn't just be because he won,
It shouldn't be. It should be his body of work.
Yeah, but that's just.
I think this is what's gonna happen with him. He's gonna, he's probably not gonna win with Puebla. Let's be honest, but it's enough of a. He's proven enough to where he might get into Chivas. He might get into an America. He might get into like a club,
They should give him like under 23 or Olympic team.
Nah.
Why not?
That's probably wouldn't take that.
That's a downgrade, dude.
No, it's not a downgrade because you're working with the squad, and you could work with them for like a 4-year cycle.
Dude's from Argentina, bro. We're not gonna let him. We're not gonna let him poison the minds of young Mexicans, bro. We got to stay domestic on the when it comes to the under 20s and all that. Like, it has to be a Mexican coach, bro.
But I'm saying that he could eventually work his way up to the senior team.
Nah.
Especially that he would have carried a group of players.
I could see him coaching Chivas or a club, like I said, that needs a coach desperately. I think he could be in there. He's proven his worth at Puebla. He just needs a club with more money.
I don't think Chivas has that much of
Yeah, Chivas is a perfect fit. I will say, I kind of want to end like the Chivas talk, but obviously, talking Abdias mentioning the refereeing, it was pretty bad across like I think all 4 matches, but with Chivas, I mean, it was glaringly obviously it was so bad. Like Santander did everything in his power to like give Chivas the victory. A lot of calls that didn't go. Just went ignored, and Tiva had a few times where I'm like, come on, bro, like handball, penalty, elbows. It was pretty bad, and we almost pulled it off. Scored a last minute goal, go to penalties, and I've always been I'm not a fan of a player that takes a penalty with like cold legs. Canelo got subbed in 3 minutes before the game ended, and I never have faith in those players that come in last minute into a game they haven't been playing, and you take a penalty kick, you miss it. Like, it's just, I feel like that always happens.
I was just waiting for Chivandera to take a penalty kick, man. Descarado.
Yeah. I was waiting for the referee to be like, oh, we got to like re-kick it because, laser in the eye or something, or, whatever the case may be. Yeah. As far as the 4 matches, the only 2 teams that won convincingly was Tigres and Toluca. They handled business. And
Also, Toluca advanced.
Yeah.
Who they beat?
They beat Juarez. Yeah.
So you have
they beat Cristante.
One.
That was expected, though. I mean, Juarez, no tenía nada.
We have had Albert waiting patiently.
Oh, shit, wait, Cristante was at... Oh. All right, no, go on.
No, I'm just saying, Albert's been waiting for a minute, so I'll let him speak, and then I have Al Pastor coming next. Albert, you're on mute, but welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, man, thanks for hopping on.
Buenas noches.
Hey, what's going on? First of all, I mean, if you guys want to talk about overhyped players, I mean, let's not talk about Alexis Vega. Let's talk about and this one's directed at Mr. Americanista over there. Let's talk about Alex Sendejas. Televisa was making him out to be Mohamed Salah or something. That making it seem like he should have been in the Mexican with Tata. But come on, he's an ordinary player. I mean, he's like I'm gonna be generous, a notch below Alexis. Alexis is just irregularity. The talent's there. It's just you need to put it together.
One guy's in the Liguilla, another guy isn't. That's all I'm gonna say.
One guy's the whole team. The other guys are playing with a bunch of
getting carried. Yeah.
It's a good team. It's a good team. America's a good team, and it's a collective effort. And they have a good coach. Chivas is when Chivas played better was when Alexis would carry the team on his back.
Against scrubs, though. Puebla.
Oh, God.
Solos.
Oh, God.
Which big team did they beat?
Monterrey,
the Monterrey game, yeah.
That was a messy goal. Messy.
Oh, wow. Excuses. Okay, and now I got a bone to pick with Joao. He's downplaying the Aztecas. You know what? And the Honduras game wasn't even the original Aztecaso. The original Aztecaso was that Costa Rica game. I remember it was a Saturday afternoon in 2001. It was hot in LA, and when I was in Medford when he beat Osvaldo, I was like, what the?
Oh, but I mean seriously, are we gonna compare a World Cup final to a Liguilla game? I mean, not a qualifying game.
But I mean, it was a fortress of Azteca. It was Mexico's dominance in CONCACAF. Up to that point, it was the undisputed Gigante.
Yeah.
To that,
well, I mean, I think they still are Gigante. Just missing one game. It's not.
The little one. I'm going with that original one. It was pretty big. It was a big deal. And
I know, but to compare to, I mean, if you had to choose one, you have to lose one of these games. Do you want to lose the World Cup? Do you want to lose a World Cup qualifying game?
But it's like you go fishing with what is it? You go hunting with que vas a cazar con el tamaño de tu red. I mean, Mexico hasn't been coached for a final. I mean, that was a big deal. You gotta keep the dimensions.
I think in Albert's defense, it's like that scene out of 300 where like they thought that that god couldn't like bleed or whatever, and they showed that
Xerxes.
Yeah, they realized, oh, this guy is like, he is touchable, It's the
He's
same thing with
human after
it's the same thing with Azteca. You know, like you have this
nah.
crazy
Oh, with
record.
Azteca.
Yeah, not being able to like lose at home, and like that was like a big freaking deal. It was impenetrable, and and they showed that, oh, maybe Mexico's not as big as we thought.
And up to that point, Azteca was. I remember they got booed in that qualifier versus the U.S. '97, but Azteca still had the crowd still had its mystique. It was still a big deal. Not like
Are you
today.
going back to the days of the matraca? I would probably never get to own one,
Oh, those
but
things
I
are
would like one
awesome.
of those.
Oh, those
Do they even sell them?
I don't know, dude. Those
I
things
don't know.
are
I don't think
fucking
so.
awesome. I remember like my first Mexico game in the year 2000 at the Oakland Coliseum, and I saw the biggest matraca I had ever seen in my life. It was bigger than me, bro. And the guy was just like, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. It was back when they
You
still
could,
let people bring them in.
yeah, you could kill somebody with it.
Al Pastor, I'm
Oh,
gonna add you to speak. See what you
all
got
right,
for
man.
us. Hey, thanks for
All
hopping
right,
on,
good
man.
night, good night, guys. Take it easy.
Al Pastor, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. I hope everyone's having a great night. Joely, I want to say my condolences since your boy Ricardo Pelaez is gone. I know you're a big fan of him, and like Ricardo said, no fue fracaso. Bueno, sí fue fracaso, pero no fue fracaso. So I don't know what he meant by that, but
I know it shouldn't hurt to see an Americanista leave the club, but it does.
The
He
mole
did.
did his job.
He
and then
did.
with Alberto, I don't know. I think Sendejas is a little bit above average, but I will say the player in America that's overhyped, Lara. I mean, Navi is gonna come sound bad coming from a Chivista, but I think Chiquete has a higher ceiling, much higher ceiling than Lara. Lara is on America's defense. He's the one that loses the most one on ones, and I wouldn't be surprised if Larcamon takes advantage of that.
I would say like as far as overhyped players was definitely Sebastian Cordova. He's not even at America anymore. But I mean, after Lainez got sold, everyone thought that he was gonna be like the next in kin, and he just, I mean, he's had a better time now that he's with Piojo reunited. But yeah, he's kind of been a big disappointment.
But America doesn't have the tendency to nickname their players after all-time greats. Mexican Messi, come on, man. La Chofis.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Mexican media. That's not Chivistas.
No, that was a lot of Chi hermanos did that too.
So looking into these matches, Puebla versus America tomorrow at 5 p.m. What do you think? How you feeling, Ricardo? Warm up match. Easy pickings.
We softened them up for them, Jaime. They,
And those two no-call penalties sure helped.
they blew they blew their load.
That
They-
Tila hand was not a penalty. I'm just gonna say that. That was not a penalty. That was a
Clear penalty, man.
unnatural
Clear
body
penalty.
movement. It hit his
Unnatural.
leg.
Unnatural.
It hit the ball hits his foot and it bounces off and hits his hand. He could try to do that on purpose 1,000 times and he'll never pull it off. How's that gonna be a handball if it hits your foot and it bounces up and hits your hand?
Yeah, but then there was like an
The way
offside
he was
call
leaning
that
back.
wasn't an
The
offside
the
call.
other stuff were fouls. The other things should have been called, but that's not an intentional handball, or that did not prevent a goal scoring opportunity. It literally hit his foot and like bounces off and hits his hand. That's just like bad luck, unintentional,
Yeah.
unnatural body movement, and that's why it wasn't called because that's what the FIFA rules say. They point out things like on that, read up on it, but that rules
No,
wise, that was not a handball.
in the Chivander rules, little Chivander book, it isn't. But anywhere else, it is.
No, just the way it hit his foot, I don't think they would have called it in the majority of other games or leagues.
Yeah.
What? Real quick, I wanted to mention something to the future Americanista. What's his name? Reyes. That beautiful paninka he scored on you guys. It's pretty much like he signed his America contract right there on the field.
Yeah, that was a very ballsy move. I knew he was going to pull that off too, and unfortunately, our goalkeeper he just decided way too soon. So, I
Eh,
mean, you're feeling confident with this with Puebla, huh? You think you guys gonna handle business?
Easy work, no sweat. Just have the semifinal ready already.
Okay, fair enough. Moving on to Cruz Azul, they play Monterrey. Oof, Abdias, how you feeling about this matchup, man?
I mean, it's gonna be interesting. It's I'm hope is gonna be the last thing to die. So Saisuke, Dali. If they can defend and attack as good as they did, I'll give it a chance for anyone. Right? All we need is one good chance, one good ball, as Antuna proved, or maybe even just a slip up from the goalie, as Kota proved. So I will take anything, and as long as they can generate a good attack, that's all I'm hoping for. I think this is gonna be the real test. If they can deal with this, dale, tráeme a la América. Veremos qué.
Uh,
Calm down, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Ricardo right there. I can see why America stomps Cruz Azul. It shows in the fans. Like Ricardo's like, bring me Puebla, bring me semifinals, where to go. And Cruz Azul fans are like, oh well, hopefully it goes all right. Hopefully we get a goal. That's probably how the players feel as well. You guys got to change that mentality.
I thought they changed it when Pelaez arrived because I remember they started their America games, right? They tied like once or twice, and then they finally beat America.
um,
We had it, man.
yeah.
We had it, but the problem is we sold the whole team, right? Like, ¿cuántos quedan de la novena? Casi ninguno. Everyone's been sold. Everyone's been traded away. Then,
Thanks for Cabecita, by the way.
oh yeah, no problem, right? Pinche Jaime Ordiales, like, right? Lo que
Well,
dicen,
wasn't
los
there
hombres de pantalones largos. So
wasn't there a shakeup in the directiva?
there
Like
was
like
there was
some
a major
some
shakeup in
some
the
the guy that brought in the coach, what's his name? I keep forgetting it,
Or the
and I
Alice?
should know it. No, the coach that won the
Juan Reynoso.
Juan Reynoso. Yeah, I grew up watching him playing.
Mm-hmm.
Right there, captain, playing the guy in the defense. Really good player. The guy that brought him, I don't know if he was sacked or if he just didn't get along and he ended up leaving, and that's why that other guy also wanted to go.
Yeah, I honestly, man, at that point, I'm not exactly too sure. I'm be 100% with y'all. My wife was having a baby at that moment, so football
Mm.
wasn't the number one thing on the books. So there was a blackout period there for me. Pero yeah, that's what happened right there. And then we came back on, and it was Jaime Ordiales was there, and it's just been kind of shaking up. And the problem with Cruz Azul, man, is Los Fantasmas están ahí, right? Like, I've seen this movie before. And the best that I can hope for is, you know what? I'm a lube up before the game, and si ganamos, ganamos, right?
Well, looking
No,
at
and
the
So,
regular season results, looks like Rayados beat you guys 3-2, but it was a pretty entertaining match. So, two things to keep in mind of: this is two legs, not one off, and the draw goes to the higher seed. So you do have that against you, but yeah, we'll see how it goes for Cruz Azul tomorrow.
exactly. Y el gol de visitante ya no cuenta para nada.
Yeah,
So,
that's why
that's another
America
one. So,
has an easy
I
one.
know. Thanks, guys. Thanks. Se los mamaron una vez y it's gone now, right?
The Eternal Hijos are going to lose to Monterrey, and Chivas. Oh wait, Chivas isn't in the league anymore.
Yeah, we have Tigres Pachuca on Thursday. Seems like a pretty evenly match up. Number 4 versus number 5 in regular season. So I don't think we have any Tigres fans here or Pachuca fans.
I think that's
Do
the
they
most
have fans?
entertaining match of all of them.
What happened?
I think that's gonna be the most entertaining match out of all of them because it's like the most evened out one.
Yeah.
I actually think it's a mismatch. I think Pachuca's gonna style on them.
Really?
Yeah, the Tigres only has Gignac.
I mean, that's all you need, bro.
It's a hell of an X factor, you're right, but I think Pachuca can exploit that.
Fair enough, but you have the power of Piojo. Cannot forget that Barney Rubble cheerleader that they have over there.
Super
Yeah,
El
Saiyan.
Super Saiyajin.
America made that bum,
I agree with that.
just like Pelaez.
And then another, I think this one's pretty even too. Toluca and Santos.
Oh yeah, should be good too.
I really
I got
have.
Santos in that.
I haven't been
I'm gonna
keeping
be
up with
going for
Santos, man.
Toluca because Big
Then
Nacho there.
Yeah, I think out of all of them, I think this one might be going to the lower seeded team. I think Toluca, especially with Nacho Ambriz and the reversals that they've had this season, I think they have a pretty good chance to upset Santos, who ended third in the regular season.
America's second feeder team.
I don't know, man. I think this one's gonna be one of those where the bye week is really gonna affect them, right? The bye week always comes in and bites them,
Oh, you're right.
and I think that's gonna be the problem, you know, because I have faith in Carlitos Acevedo in the bag. Granted, he gets drilled a couple times, but he can typically hold his own, and he's the reason why the team looks solid, right? So I think the bye week is gonna be what's gonna get them, and this is going to be the one game where we're going to see the case of the bye week coming back to haunt.
Get who, Santos?
Yeah, because they didn't play
Yes.
last week.
Oh yeah, okay.
Same with America. Same with Monterrey and Pachuca. You got some of these teams going in there with a lot of momentum. They didn't have a week off, and I think we'll see how that plays out.
Cause America doesn't know what the word repechaje means, man. We always qualify top of the table.
Yeah, and how many titles have you guys won so far?
None, but you know how it is. I already told you, man. We're looking down, not up.
For sure.
Well, I wanted to mention something. Did you guys mention that the yeah? Well, yeah, you did. You mentioned the last week's game. So I just wanted to talk some shit about Necaxa because everyone was ball gobbling Jimmy Lozano because he won that bronze medal, and the guy's a ratonero coach, man.
Wait, why do you say that?
He's mediocre. Look at the way he coaches. He probably got the Mexico Olympic job because of nepotism, and then because let's keep in mind this is the second time he's got a coaching job. The other time was Querétaro, and he bombed there too. And they gave this guy some refuerzos too, so he can't be complaining about that either.
So you think Jimmy Lozano's all hype?
Yeah,
Hey,
Speaking of coaches that
hey,
are all
it's
hype,
over again.
the Atlas coach, I'm interested to see how he does. I'm not saying he's hype, but he's coming in actually like heavily criticized because he's coming from Malaysia and he won like 7 leagues, 7 titles in Malaysia. You know, who respects Malaysia? But Atlas apparently did a lot of research on this guy. So I'm actually interested to see how he plays out.
Hmm.
they were
We've been
slaughtering
seeing
him on Twitter. That coach,
Yeah, he's like a young Mexican guy.
they were hating on him big
and
time
it's
on Twitter.
because he's Mexican. Because he's Mexican.
That
Well,
was
it's
crazy
it's
to
because
see.
his results
Like
like come from Malaysia as well. So
yeah,
like
but
everyone
but see
thinks he's
like
another like Michele Leaño who's like gonna have all this big hype talking about winning all
like
this, but he has nothing to prove it. But
yeah.
I think he's gonna wind up being successful. You can tell he's
Well,
coming in to work.
yeah, and he's coming to a good institution where he's gonna have support. But look at Larcamon. He came from Venezuela, baseball country. You know, and gave a shit. You know, he couldn't get a coaching gig in Argentina. He goes to Venezuela where they're starving. You know, and I'm not saying that to talk shit. It's literally that's what's going on. Um, I don't know if players playing for free, but that's where he was at. You know, um, and no one cared. And he's doing good. We talked about the Canadian coach. That dude was coaching New Zealand women's team, and he ended up qualifying Canada to the World Cup in first place. So I mean, I do think like some people put a bit too much stake into that, like of like, oh, where were you at, or where were you working? As far as like what I've told some of these guys is that the important is to keep working, to stay active no matter where.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Because I mean,
one
there's some coaches like, for example, like Piojo or like others like the Carousel that they can get in a comfort zone and like get fired, and they'll have a job within 6 months.
But Piojo, keep in mind, it took him like 10 years.
Well, but yeah, it's also like
He was
Ricardo said, America made him. Once he arrived somewhere with money and like they gave him all these players and stuff, he started showing out. But
yeah,
before
I
that, he
know, but
lost titles with Rayados. He was
he
terrible
was
with
relegated too. He
Atlante,
was like relegated
Veracruz.
twice, right?
He didn't do anything, so he actually had like a wallet.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things to be said about like um Grupo Orlecky and the multi deportivos,
Propiedad.
right?
Oh yeah,
Multipropiedades, those guys, right? They don't typically miss when they're bringing somebody in. So if he's being brought in, there has been a lot of hype behind him, kind of like he's somebody to watch for. So he is going to be somebody interesting to look forward to, and a ver qué es lo que puede hacer ahí.
Those guys do their homework. I was reading an article a couple weeks back about how there's only two teams in all of Liga MX that actually go out and like like do their homework. They go out and investigate and find coaches out there. These other teams rely on promoters just to bring them a coach.
yes.
Puebla and
'Cause-
San Luis are the only teams that actually go out there and scout coaches. Because if you take into account, you got. I was also reading that that guy that flopped with Cruz Azul, that Uruguayo, that was just disgusting. That Aguirre, but
Yep.
before he even got there, that he had an interview in Uruguay saying, "Oh, I want to coach in Liga MX so I can get close to MLS." I mean, what kind of shit is that, man? That bum was linked to Chivas, and I was like, "Oh, there's some trickery going on, some shenanigans, because they're trying to place this bum with all sorts of teams, so he's no good."
Yeah, that is the
Yeah.
promoters. That's
Um, I heard a rumor Mauro Camoranesi going to Necaxa.
to who? Oh, for Necaxa.
Mm.
Has he even been coaching? I know he was at. He worked on their what's his name? Higuera, dude. Higuera did El Tiburon Sanchez. He did him nasty, man. Uh, Tiburon Sanchez took what was it? What was it? What was the team that Higuera had? They had both. They had like half the squad was all Chivas.
Was it
What was
Querétaro?
it? No, no, it's with the C.
Colibrijes,
Yeah, I think that's them, right?
something like that.
Yeah, they
Coras de
had like
Tepic.
was it Coras?
Yeah, it was
The
Coras.
logo was like a little guy with a hat.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it
Yes.
was
of course.
Coras.
Coras. Yeah, so he had that team, and Piojo takes over. I mean, Piojo Tiburon, Joel Tiburon Sanchez takes over the team, and he takes them all the way to the final. And I think it's Necaxa they lose to. Ironically, they lose to Necaxa in penalty kicks. And this is coming from Tiburon's mouth himself. He said not even a day had passed, and Higuera calls him to a restaurant, and they're eating, and he thinks that they're gonna start talking about next season, and he was like, "All right, it was nice knowing you,
Damn.
mate." And he gave it to um to Camoranesi because he said he just wanted the cloud of World Cup champion and you know Juventus and all that. And he ended up quitting like halfway through the season, and that's the last I've heard of him. I don't know if what he's done.
Well, I mean, he got karma because he was out in Slovenia, and then he was appointed assistant manager of Marseille. And a week later, he was fired because the coach uh, never wanted him as the assistant manager. He wanted like he was imposed by the team, so he said, "No, I don't want this guy." So he was literally at Marseille for a week. So he got karma for that.
Damn.
But you guys got to keep in account. These argentinos no tienen vergüenza. They're mercenaries. Every single last one of them. He, I was keeping up with La Volpe's um his his videos that he posts, and he was talking about how he went to Boca Juniors, right? And those fake Italians, Palermo and that other guy that were there at the time, they were hating on him. They're like, "Oh, Mexicano, like Mexicanito," and talking shit to him, right? Because he spent a lot of time in Mexico coaching. And then that same bum Palermo goes to Pachuca, and he robs. He steals money. He didn't do shit at Pachuca, and
You really steal money because he didn't do a good job, or
both, yeah, el ratero.
Yo, I didn't know Mauro
They're ungrateful.
Camoranesi coached Tepic. What the hell?
he did. Well, you know now, he did, man, and it sucked. I don't think it's his fault. I think Higuera was just chasing clout, so I don't blame him for that.
Damn.
Was it another Maradona Dorado situation?
No, I think because with Maradona, they're saying he had this assistants would do all the job,
Mm.
and he was just like the hype man.
Hi,
Um,
man.
Taking bumps.
hey, did you see? Did you see the videos where he'll be in the locker room? That shit was fire, dude.
Doing what?
He'd be
Coke?
dancing in there. Maybe, but they will be dancing and they'll be singing and it's just
I, I,
like
s-
fun
I
to
Oh,
be
seen the
playing
video.
for that team.
I seen the video when he screams at those Mexican kids.
What he, I didn't see that. What he screamed?
They were asking for an autograph, and the junkie screamed at him.
Joel, you're basically telling me he's like a real life Ted Lasso because Ted Lasso had that scene where he's like dancing with his freaking team and all that.
Yeah, I need to see that. Dude, you could put like Google. I mean YouTube the
Yeah.
Maradona with locker room, and you'll see how these and it's just it just looks crazy in there.
The
Because
Damn.
one
I
you need
think
on
they
YouTube,
reached two finals, right? They reached two finals. They lost them,
yeah,
but I think
that
they
motivation
reached
works.
back to back.
But the one you need to look up is some kid with no legs. You know, they have like the Make a Wish
Damn,
foundations
dude.
of that type. Kid with no legs wants to meet Maradona, so they take him to the Argentina practice, set up a small goal. Maradona takes a shot off him, top 90, and like he screams it in his face, like "Golazo, golazo!" Oh my god!
Is, is
I
that
shouldn't
real?
have been laughing, but I was
Is this
laughing.
the real life?
Yeah, like you didn't give a fuck. This kid had no legs. He's like, I'm gonna treat you as an equal.
Was that kid what? Was he supposed to be the goalkeeper? What?
Yeah, the kid was the goalkeeper, no legs, and Maradona just puts a top 90 and goes golazo, golazo.
Yeah.
They should have then just put the kid facing the porteria then, if that was the case.
Mm.
There was I forgot what English player did the same thing, bro. Like he did not go easy on a goalie, like a 13-year-old goalie. He was just like I think it was Michael Owen actually. I think Michael Owen, he was like the guy. He's just like, this kid's like dream of me and this guy. He just starts scoring hella goals on him and like
Body checks him.
celebrating, dude. Um we're kind of wrapping up the show, but did you guys see Alvaro Morales is you know
Celebration.
oh god.
Oh, his taunting Pietrasanta.
Bro,
That was
that was a little bit too much, no?
that was glorious, man.
You're not hey, I don't know if you're on the oh man. I just uploaded the thing on YouTube right now. There's like a Photoshop of him. I'll see if I can try and upload it to the Twitter, but yeah, dude's wild and
Did you see
Yeah,
Chelis went off on him because him and the other guy were watching the game on Azteca, and Chelis was like an analyst for ESPN Deportes because they were also showing the Puebla game, and he like called him out. He's like, "Damn, if that's how your friends treat you, I don't know. I don't want about your enemies." So apparently they were all upset that he was watching it on another platform. But
Yeah.
I
The
like to
same,
hear what the other dudes say, like talking points, but I do find it unprofessional for what that show is. You know what I mean? There's some type of shows
every
that
country has
lend
that.
themselves for
Well,
that. Yeah, but I don't think that's that show because you have actual journalists and like former players and
but you got to everyone's overreacting to this because Pietra Santa also last year. What did he do? He went along with it. He had the little chicken and he was squeezing it. When
oh
America
yeah,
got
that's
come on, everyone's just overreacting about this. It happens in every country. They all got these type of shows, and the the two faces of the Mexican reporters is just is something else.
who was the dude who was getting a blowy? Was that
Cesar Huerta.
Oh
Yeah,
my god, that's right. This is during like
his eyes are rolling back.
the peak pandemic.
I was never a fan of him, but after that, I was like, all right, that's an OG right there.
el
It looked
cachopo
like that.
Huerta.
He's like,
It
espérate,
looked like
espérate.
that
He was like
meme.
whispering to her, like, hey.
It was.
He's like,
It,
slow down,
it,
not so fast.
it
Yeah.
reminded me of that meme that says like when you nut but she keeps going.
Oh man,
Estoy vivo, estoy vivo. Espérate, espérate. Yeah, she
She
was
did
funny.
not care, dude. That succubus kept going. I was like,
he must felt powerful. Clinton got fired for that. He kept his job.
did he get? I don't know. Um,
Well, boys, I'll go around the circle and ask for you guys' closing thoughts on episode 353. Thank you guys for all hopping on. Let's start with I don't know if Albert's still there.
Yeah, I'm still here.
What you got for us, man? Any closing thoughts? Any predictions you have for Liguilla? Who's going to be the champion this season?
Well, before that, earlier, I was going to chime in. I got that stat of how many times America has been champion
Oh,
after being super leader. So since the Liguilla started in 19 and the 70-71 season, America has been super leader 15 times. And they've been champions 4 times, and one has only been in torneos cortos, and that was, I believe, Apertura 2004. So, I think it doesn't bode well for them, and I don't have them as my champion. I have, I'm going to give it to Monterrey. I like what Buse
Oh,
has done with them.
interesting.
Although I gotta admit, I'm not an America fan, but I'm a fan of Tano. If anybody deserves success, it's him. I mean, the guy put off his mom's funeral to stick around with America to see if he got the job. I mean,
wow.
that tells you a lot
damn.
from the guy.
God damn. Between that
That's
and the no
commitment,
legs
man.
kids, is that what
Yeah,
it takes to win the World Cup?
Not like other teams when they go off and go to what do they go to
Palenque
gallo
to in the
fights
morning
and
To the masajes and
to
shopping.
yeah, they do all like
cockfights.
yeah.
Cockfights. Oh yeah, that's right.
We're talking about
Or or
Salcido.
or other teams that score goals when it's supposed to be a minute of silence.
Oh, Guignac,
Yeah,
another
but I
World
mean,
Cup
honestly,
champion.
Alberto was right. I mean, that sends a huge message to the players. Like, hey, man, my mom just passed away, and I'm gonna stick around for this game and not go to the funeral because that's how committed I am. Like, as a player, like now whenever he calls you out on slacking or getting in the comfort zone, you know where he's coming from. So it raises the level of the whole squad.
And you know what? He just says the right things. He never gives himself credit. It's always for the players. And when there's mistakes, he puts it on himself. And like they were asking him about the format about the Liguilla. He didn't get in hot water. He's like, hey, you know what? I just play the games and whatever's in front of me. It's like he knows what to say. It's like very. It's
Oh
like
man, you're
it's hard. He told us the most hated team in Mexico, but it's hard to hate him.
it sounds like you're describing the next national team coach. I
You
think if
they brought a guy like Osorio. Who knows? Who knows?
no, I mean if he wins it with Ame, I think he will be candidate.
Well, the
And
difference between
the flavor
Tano,
of the week. Larcamon was the flavor of the week a year ago. So
No, but he's at Puebla, and you know with Selección they've always put whoever wins the league
oh yeah.
or has won.
Different coach in America than Puebla. Yeah, you're definitely correct. Yes.
For sure. Hey, thanks, Albert, for doing
Uh,
your research, and that's a good,
thanks
pretty
for the
good
hate,
stat.
Albert.
no, actually, I wrote about it 2 weeks ago, so I had it fresh in my mind.
Al Pastor, what you got for us, man? Now that we don't have a team in the fight, who do you like for champion?
I don't know for champion, but I'm gonna have to say that the ones that move on are America, Monterrey, Santos, and Tigres.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, if I had to go out with one of those four left, I'd probably go with Santos as my neutral. I just can't stand those Monterrey teams. Can't stand America. If Santos wins, it doesn't bother me. Zero, like zero emotion. Not happy, not sad, not mad. Whatever.
But that's an Orlegi team, man. Remember? They
It
own
is,
Atlas.
but I mean, doesn't bother me. It's Santos. I got beef with Atlas, not Santos.
Oh, all right.
Fair enough. Abdias, what you got for us, man? Thanks for hopping on tonight.
No problem, guys. Thank you for having me. I have, I got Santos moving on, hopefully, right? I have Tigres moving on. I have este America. I hate to say it, pero El Tano, the way he's got the team running and the way they play, you know what? I'm not a fan, but they're fun to watch, ¿verdad? I turn it on and I just have it in the background. They're okay to watch, and I think Cruz Azul can do it, man. I think they can. I think I think they can pull it off if they defend and they attack correctly. They might be able to. So it will be a fun time. My last take is we need better VAR, man. We need a better VAR system. We need a conference every Monday, every Tuesday, where they're responsible for the calls that are made and that are missed. Or at least that they tell us de qué carne son las tortas, right? Like we need to know what's going on over there because why aren't the calls getting made?
Good stuff, man. I do agree. The refereeing hopefully gets better because you hate to go or you hate for a decision to affect the outcome of the game, especially now that there's only 8 teams left and it's getting to the brass tacks. But yeah, good stuff. Let's go to
And
our
I mean, we've done it before. They did it before. They
yeah
held the conference,
yeah
right? So después de eso, it just disappeared. So why isn't this a common practice?
good stuff. Let's go to our number one fan, Ricardo. What you got for us, man?
Well, I'd like to start off by thanking you guys for having me on again. Like you said, I am the number one fan, but yes, but I have to call you guys out when I see fit. And even though you guys fired my tocayo, the inside mole, he getting rid of him isn't like a guy I follow on NFL. He, Chivas has other problems. The team specifically, you guys try to make chicken salad with chicken shit, and things just don't work out that way. And as far as the teams, America is gonna move on, Pachuca is gonna move on, Toluca, and you know what? I'll say Cruz Azul is gonna be Monterrey.
Oh wow.
And my final point, even though even though it wasn't necessarily America that beat Chivas, but since Puebla is our feeder team, I'll take that W as an America W as well.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to you guys losing. It's gonna be great. Joel, what you got for me, man?
two things. The first one, I don't have a favorite or one that I want, but as long as it's a Mexican coach, I think there hasn't been a Mexican coach that has won Liga MX in like 10 years. I think. Was it Piojo the last to win it before going to the World Cup? Okay, something along those lines.
What are you talking about? Matias Almeida is Mexican, bro. What are you talking about?
But I would like to see more Mexicans winning that. So whoever, there's a few now, you know, and that's also something I think we haven't seen in a while. That many at this stage. So that's one, and then just two for Chivas. You mentioned it earlier. Be careful what you wish for, and so I guess is let's see what happens next with the club. You know, who comes in, or is it going to be a promoter that's going to be, controlling the team? Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Not sure where we go from here with Chivas, but I have a feeling like it can it could probably get a lot worse than we might be begging him back. Who knows? Um, for me, I think it's gonna be. I think Puebla's gonna win the first match. Actually, I think they're gonna beat America in the first leg, but America will close it at home. Cruz Azul, I could see a draw, and then Monterrey getting the benefit of the doubt at home. The only upset I see is Toluca, man. I think Toluca can pull off Santos, and then Tigres. I'm a big Gignac fan. I think Tigres will handle Pachuca. And then we'll go from there. As far, I can't really pick a champion just yet. I gotta wait for these four matches to go through. But I do look forward to not seeing America win another title, even though they were in first place.
You have to squeeze that in, huh?
One last thing. There was an interview today with Mikel Arroyo, and he said that Descenso is back, man. So we'll see what happens next season. He also said that the only team that is eligible to go up is UDG. So not sure how that works. But guys, we're about like a month away from the World Cup. Holy shit, it's gonna creep up on us. I'm looking forward to that, and obviously looking forward to you gentlemen joining us next week. And with that, I'll sign off. Thank you guys so much. We'll catch you in the next one.